Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the September 14, 2017 Board of Selectmen meeting. All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, opening comments. Mr. Lombard.
I want to, can you hear me, Pedro? Pedro?
Pedro, can you hear me?
You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I just want to thank the Department of Public Works for an outstanding workload with the cleaning of the beaches of both Tudor and Short Beach. Is probably the best I've seen the beaches cleaned, and they did a great job. I also want to thank the police for increased presence of parking problems, and they did an excellent job cleaning that a lot of areas out, especially the towing the last couple of weeks. I think we need to pursue that next year. We need to vote probably in February, March to make sure they continue towing. And the fire department for the calls and their performance over the summer. The response was fantastic, other than the area of training, but we'll go into that. Other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Richie, do you want a letter sent to them, the department heads?
I would say a letter to each of the three department heads.
Okay.
On behalf of the board. I don't know how the board feels, but I'd like to say
Absolutely.
thank you for a great job, great summer. And, you know, the town looked great. The cemetery looked great. I mean, it's just, I had a lot of people advise me and talk about it, so it was all positive stuff.
Mr. T.
I'd also like to thank the Department of Public Works for Fox Hill Road. I understand that Fox Hill Road is almost done.
Draining.
And draining. Fox Hill Road is draining. This is very, very important to the people of that area. I've been in contact with you now for about 10 months, so I'm very happy on that. My second one that I have on my slip of paper was the Coast Guard Housing Authority. I wanted them to be here because of transparency, etc., and they're here. Thank you very much. And I'm still not in favor of a special town meeting in the fall. I have to say that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'd like to thank, especially Dennis. Dennis found a water leak on Carey Street that resulted in 1 million gallons a year that was leaking. I don't know how it got by anybody, but he found it and he had it fixed. And all that water was going into the sewer, which means that not only are we paying for the water that's coming in, we're paying for the water that's going out. So that was a good job for Dennis, and I'm very happy to hear that. He did a great job with that. That's all I got to say right now, and I think we should just move on. We have next step is we're going to approve the minutes of the last meeting, I believe. Okay. I don't see the regular minutes in here.
Yeah, the next page.
They're behind it, okay. I'll entertain a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes of August 16th, 2017.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. There's also the executive session minutes. I'll put a motion forward to accept the meeting minutes that are so put in our folder. I'll entertain that motion.
I'll move that.
What minutes?
These here.
Second.
Discussion? I actually have the minutes here that we had taken, and they are different from these, so these minutes, I don't want to accept these minutes that are in the folder. I think every board member has this copy of the minutes, the way we had them.
If you could submit them to Mary Ellen, she could go ahead and shuffle them.
The minutes that we have.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to accept these minutes, the ones that,
Well, if you could, I'll have her shuffle them and bring them forward. I just need to look at them to make sure that they're up to speed.
oh, these are, these are the minutes that would you like to see them?
Yeah.
Copy of them. These are the minutes that we come up, that, I remember having. That's how I remember them, that's what we wrote.
I'll provide them to Mary Ellen, and then I'll put them on the
Well,
agenda for her.
we could make a motion that I'll entertain a motion that we accept the minutes as so put forward by the board.
Well, we have to vote down the first.
Okay, the first one, yes, all those in favor of accepting the minutes in the folder, signify by saying aye.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. So you want to vote this down, these minutes?
Yes, in the book, yeah.
Except
I don't recall them being like that. I recall the minutes being the way I have them.
While I'm on the subject matter, I'm the secretary, correct?
Yes.
I'm supposed to take the minutes?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to request that either Mary Law or Mary Ellen attend the meetings so they can take notes. I can't,
No, I know, okay.
unless you tape, is a meeting being taped? Are you taping, somebody taping this meeting?
Not
The
executive
minutes,
session.
the executive session meeting,
Yeah.
this meeting's being taped, so we
No,
have the
I
minutes there.
understand, but someone's got to,
The executive session minutes, I had written them down how I remember them.
okay, well, that's fine, but I just want to make sure someone's making notes or taping the meeting so that,
Well,
then
we
they
are gonna
will-
get a recorder. Actually, the Coast Guard Committee is looking for a tape recorder for their minutes. So the town clerk is graciously gonna take it out of her budget. She's gonna buy a recorder for them, and we can use it for our executive session minutes.
We actually have a
not for
recorder
executive
already.
session, I want for the regular meeting too.
Well, we have this.
It's recorded up here. Yeah.
That's recorded up here.
Okay, so someone has to
Executive
go-
session's not recorded.
No, I understand that, okay.
And we have a recorder for the planning board, zoning board, and conservation commission that we can use for those.
Okay,
purposes.
well, we can also,
the town
we'll
clerk-
have one available at all costs when we have an executive session meeting.
And since this was Dan Scripps' meeting, I'd like to have him review these just to make sure he's comfortable.
Well, they are our minutes. It doesn't matter if Dan's comfortable with them or not. It's the way I remember the meeting. I mean, if you want to vote them down, that's fine. That's how I remember it. That's how I recall it.
All right, why don't you call the vote for the voting down of the minutes?
Okay, I did, and it was, okay, I'll call that vote. Do you want to accept the minutes? I'll call the vote to accept.
I move that we,
Said anything, now
I
those
move that we
opposed.
don't accept the current meeting minutes of the executive session in the book.
Right, okay.
Second?
You'll second it?
Well, we gotta vote down the first one.
That's what we're doing. We're not going to accept it. Oh, okay, the first one,
First one, we'll do that.
right.
So
So,
those in favor, nobody said anything,
That's
those
right.
opposed? No.
I asked, those in favor, there was no answer, so, those opposed?
Thank you. No. Richie and I are no. Okay.
No, the answer
Now
is
we're
no.
gonna give these,
Okay, so, I'll entertain a motion that we accept the minutes as described, that I had taken, how I remember them and how I wrote them down.
so moved.
Second?
Can they be subject to review by legal counsel, since he was the one who presented? And for him, it was a technical exercise, so I just want to make sure he's comfortable with the technical exercise.
I don't see what he has to do with it. It's the Board of Selectmen.
It was his presentation, and it was for a specific purpose. It was for a legal settlement, so I just want to make sure
If
that he's...
the way it was presented, it wasn't presented in that, in a good manner, I don't think. So this is how I remember it, this is what I was told, this is what we voted on. I specified this specifically in that meeting, how I asked questions, and that's what we wound up with. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. These are the minutes that we are accepting. Okay, now that we got through that. Citizens Forum. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask Pete Barber, the chairman of the Coast Guard Committee, to come up and speak. Pete, you really have to speak? Speak at the microphone, or over here, that's fine.
Come sit here, Peter.
To let us know how we're doing with the Coast Guard housing.
All right, so I watched the Selectmen's meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there was some interest in having us, our committee, ready for a recommendation by a November special town meeting. I can assure you that we will not be ready for November. In fact, we may not even be ready for April. The committee's just getting started with the selections and the appointments and everything. We've only had 3 meetings. We plan to try and meet at least 2 times a month. Our meetings are posted, as open meetings. I would like to ask that our meetings get put on the website, because we have had comments that nobody knows because it's not on the website, maybe with our agenda. And as we move forward, we would like to put updates on the website so that more people can see it. The more information that we put out, the more input we get, the better we'll feel that we're moving in the right direction. Our next meeting is next Wednesday night, the 20th, at 7 p.m. downstairs. We do set aside a portion of our meetings for public input, and the committee from time to time would like to be put on the Selectmen's agenda so that we can update you as to where we are. So where are we now? We start with a scope of disposition of the property. One of our members actually doesn't like the word disposition because it's kind of a cold ending, and he likes the transfer of property better. So, but we created some criteria. We have a work plan. I'm going to quickly go through the major criteria that we're looking at right now. And this is, again, preliminary. We're still working on, the criteria and options and things. So to design a design option that fits with the community, taking into considerations its architectural characteristics, lot size, house size, number of residents, and even open space. We want to maximize the long-term benefits to the town, financial and otherwise. We want to address the housing needs of the town, young families, first-time home buyers, and an increasing elderly population that may be interested in downsizing or moving to a one-level home. We're looking at a plan that has the least negative impact to the neighborhood, taking into consideration the Johnson School, traffic, and so on. Look at and take into consideration Chapter 40B, and be respectful to current zoning bylaws. So we've completed a work plan, and we have 6 phases. Phase 1 is the planning, process, and development of options. We're putting together a list to cover a wide range of options to start the process, and over time we'll whittle it down. Collection of input. We're looking for input from the selectmen, different town departments and committees, such as the planning board, zoning board, open space committee, and even the school committee, because it does affect them. Of course, the neighbors and other Nahant citizens as well. We'll also come up with a list of data that we'll need to create and evaluate the process. Phase 2 is preliminary data analysis and evaluation to prioritize criteria and options. This is going to involve collecting data such as baseline traffic studies, historical information from prior committees, selectmen survey, the financial impact, and pro formas, or to name a few. We'll evaluate, rate, and prioritize the data, and evaluate the wide range of options that we have, and we'll begin preparing formal presentations. Phase 3 is the presentation and review, initial findings and any key issues. We plan to meet again with the selectmen and the town committees and neighbors, and then host a public hearing or hearings to present our preliminary findings. Our hopes is to identify and collect revisions to the criteria and options for more detailed analysis. Phase 4 is a detailed analysis and evaluation of the best options. This is when we'll probably start to whittle things down. We want to review input from hearings and meetings, identify if and where additional expertise is needed, such as legal advice or architectural expertise. We'll fill in any gaps we may have found on the data and evaluate the scenarios against revised options and criteria. Phase 5 is a presentation and review of detailed findings. This is where we'll evaluate scenarios against revised options and criteria. We'll prepare a detailed report for the better options. We plan to post this on the town website to allow Nahant sufficient time to review and evaluate prior to any public hearing. We feel this gives folks time to review, better understand the information, and prepare questions beforehand. Phase 6 is we'll finalize the best land use option or options, restrictions, guidelines, and documentations. This will be the committee's time to prepare clear, supporting recommendation for one or more attractive land use options to enable the town to specify conditions for the sale and/or use of the property to be presented at town meeting for approval. So those are our 6 stages. We realize this is a long process, but feel this work plan will provide the committee and hopefully Nahant a clear direction as to the disposition of the property. We want to move quickly, but we want to be thorough in our work. I know some people say just sell them as they are, and this could have huge negative outcomes. Someone could come in and scoop up the whole lot or some lots and move forward with an unfriendly 40B, not be required to follow any zoning bylaws, and put up a high-rise. They could be sold individually and follow within our zoning guidelines and build McMansions, which would not be keeping with the flavor of Nahant. Some say deed restrictions can be easily removed by lawyers. We may have an opportunity for even gaining some open space, perhaps in addition to the walking path that runs in that area. There's many options, many issues, and many opinions, and we'd like to collect as much information as we can and come up with the best possible options for the town.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Any questions?
Good job. Now, can you
I have
put
some
the
questions.
different phases on the website for us?
Yeah. We actually have a kind of a work plan.
Yeah.
I wanted to print it off tonight, but unfortunately, one of our members put it in a wide format and I couldn't print it properly.
Yeah. I think, you get him in touch with Robert Wilson?
And Peter, what I'll do is I'll email you and Robert together, and then
Okay.
I'll link you, and then you can just send him information directly.
All right.
Then you'll have your own page.
I mean, again, to the residents in Nahant, come to our meetings, voice your opinion. We want the input. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing. We've already had 2 bites at the apple. We want to make sure that, we get it right this time.
I actually have all those surveys. I keep forgetting to give them to you. I will
Yeah.
get them to you.
Thanks for the
You can look
plans.
at them and you read them. There's some good stuff on them.
It is. It's, again, more information is better. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Terrific, thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the chairman of the Scott Housing report and have it attached, and if you give us a copy of that, it'll be in the minutes of our meeting going forward. I so move that.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Another question I have for you, do you have legal counsel yet?
No, I mean, we do feel at some point we're going to need, like I said, legal assistance, looking at like 40B and,
You should start right away with legal counsel. And we should make sure that's appropriated, and I would have your committee come up with any suggestions for someone that's in that business, okay? And you can look at several cities and towns, Swampscott, Moped, Gloucester, that have had various attorneys and legal firms that represent the boards on housing. Okay, so you know, you don't have to have them at every meeting, but
Right.
I would start off and get that settled right away, and I move we authorize them to seek an advice from counsel, legal counsel for that purpose.
Now, would we start off with
Second.
town council?
Well, he's not really, I don't believe,
You're meaning someone like a real estate,
a real estate
someone that's into that type of...
that's been in that. I don't think Dan, he's not,
It depends on the nature of what you're asking. If you're asking process-wise, Dan can help you with that, but when it comes down to the tools, the options,
Right.
that may be someone better who's specialized.
I'd rather start in the beginning with someone new.
Right.
And, you know,
You guys
this
can
way
find
here, Dan Scripps is town council, but you need someone specifically geared to that law.
Yep.
Okay, so that you can have an initial meeting and advise your members he's coming, and have them get various questions they might ask, okay? And they might want to, and then have him guide you through the process and everything else.
I think you guys are capable of finding that person. I mean, there's no procurement laws with legal counsel, so,
Have you been assigned a budget?
No.
We need to do that too. We need to set up budgets.
do you think you guys come up with a,
I mean, at some point, we're anticipating needing, like, other than legal advice, you know,
Yeah,
if
you
we
need-
decide
you need a
architectural
budget.
plans are needed, or,
You need probably, I would suggest we come up with somehow like $1,000, put it in, so they have $1,000 to start with. And as they need more money, they can either request a transfer from the reserve fund, okay?
Yeah.
And,
I would rather they come to us when they need it,
need it,
when they need the money. They'll know when they're going to need the money. Then we can have it up front, in front of everybody, that they need this money, we're allowing it.
okay, but I don't want them to be restrained by that, okay?
No.
no, that's a
You
good idea.
feel
if we-
free, you come up,
everybody knows
you
how
come
much
up to one of your meetings and update with the Board of Selectmen.
right,
You could send us agenda and then have us,
right.
all right? And then you can put that request in so we have it. I want to make sure that they're off and they're equipped in all areas for this whole process,
Right.
okay? As you said, you want to do diligent work.
Yeah, and like a tape recorder for meeting minutes would be
Well,
nice.
She's already got it coming,
Yeah, I know, we use it on the zoning board, so.
so,
I mean, she must have money with one of the chairman, I mean, I imagine, yeah. If not, we can
Yeah,
come up.
okay, I'll entertain the motion that we allow them to have a budget. We can start them out with $1,000 and
Well,
then,
let's make
No,
it,
I'm not for that.
let's make it $100.
okay,
So they have a budget,
and,
and then, so it's $100 expenses.
okay, and then,
Then if you need more, then come to the board, or we'll have to go to the reserve fund or something.
no, he'll have to, they'll come
At
to the
least
board.
you'll have a line item, and there'll be something in there to fund this.
Okay, let me,
So it's $100 to start off,
okay,
that's what.
let me get through the motion. I'll entertain the motion that we start them out with $100, and when they want more money, to come to the Board of Selectmen and ask us for it.
Well, that'd be great, I'll second the motion,
Is that okay?
No.
Okay,
okay?
You can vote 2-1, I don't
No,
care.
no, you
I'm just
intended-
saying that I would rather see them come up and say, we're embarking on this, it's going to cost
Well,
us
that's-
this,
that's the
here we come. We don't need $100 to start. We need to get $1,000 to get this done. Okay, we authorize it.
okay,
As it goes, piece by piece,
at a selectmen's meeting.
at a selectmen's meeting.
Okay, I'll go for that. That would be the motion. We'll start out with a zero balance, and we'll just authorize as they go along.
Well, see, again, you're gonna have to establish. No, I'm not gonna, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Richie, to your point, Peter, if you have needs, just contact our office.
Yeah.
and We can fund.
Then we'll put it on the
minimal
agenda, and
needs, yeah.
we'll vote it in.
As a matter of fact, they can fund it, and then we can vote it in afterwards, at the next meeting. But I want it to be done in public session.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I mean, well, I'm not
No, I'm not
trying
saying
to
you're
hide
not.
anything here, I mean, You know,
It's just the way I want to do it.
we've got a lot, we won't get in, I don't know what's in there tonight for the agenda. We're paying
So
for a
everybody
lot of
knows.
attorneys here. We got more attorneys like consultants all of a sudden, you know what I mean? I don't know where the money's coming from, but, you know, it's like, hello?
Okay.
Okay, next.
The motion stands, that we fund them with zero balance, and that when they need money, they come to us, and they can certainly get that money, and then with approval.
I'll
by
make
the
that,
Board of
I'll make that
Selectmen
motion.
In a public
I'll
meeting.
make that motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thanks for taking the time and coming up.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you, and
Since
good
the
luck.
assessors are not here, why don't we move to the water and sewer liens? Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve to commit to the Board of Assessors unpaid utility and trash accounts in the amount of $85,524.30 to be added to the annual tax as the municipal charge lien to be subject to the provisions of the law related to interest on taxes. A list of said liens and the related properties to be attached to the minutes of this meeting. I made the motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Any discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. So we get 5 minutes before they get here.
The
so-
cable, why don't we work on the cable license contract? The cable Verizon. Is he here tonight?
No, he isn't. He had sent information back that you had requested, and what you have here is an email from him that identifies the 3 items that were discussed at the last meeting that he attended.
Where is that?
Okay, so it's 2D, and what it identifies is that we had raised an issue regarding senior discount. We had also looked at rate
Where, I don't have one.
Hey, right here.
2D,
Where is it?
2D.
I don't have it.
Go one back this page, Richie, that one page.
He jumped ahead.
They got 5 minutes though.
Okay.
No, I mean, Richie just...
Well, we can finish this one up, and they'll be
Yeah,
there.
it's only 5 minutes off.
Do we walk through these?
I'm sorry?
Walk through these?
The
Well, hold on for a minute.
Verizon?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Jeff's gonna walk through this.
So there were 3 items that were raised at the last discussion. One was a senior discount, second, rate regulation, basically just trying to hold down costs, and then a no subscriber pass-through. So what he identifies is that it's a firm policy of Verizon that there be no senior discounts, and that he doesn't foresee that as changing. It says on the rate regulations that to lower the rates without rationale or understanding as to kind of the technical reasoning for it is prohibited. And then he says on the subscriber pass-through, that is money that comes to the town for purposes of keeping that equipment up there and for hiring a videographer. If we choose to pass on that and not fund that, then we're good until our budget runs out. So those are the 3 items that he reported back on.
Yeah, have you negotiated with this guy? You sat down with him? This is a 10-year contract at 81 cents a month.
As a pass-through, yes.
Again, you're throwing adjectives in. This is a 10-year contract, 81 cents a month, times 12, times 10 years.
Yep.
Okay? And can't you negotiate a rate that's like, say, start out with 12 cents or 13 cents for first year and work up to 10?
So the
I mean, you know, why stiff all the customers that are on Verizon?
So the
The
81,
performance from Verizon is very poor to begin with around here. And then, all of a sudden, they're looking for a 10-year contract. This is a 10-year contract, Jeff.
it's a license, yes.
I'm sorry?
It's a license, yes, it is.
Again, you're adding adjective. Is this a 10-year contract? Yes or no? That's the question.
It has a 10-year value, yes.
That's all I ask. You know, don't throw the curveballs at me. This is 10 years, and even 81 cents is just a lot of money for the seniors. Half the town is, you know, these people, you know, the seniors, and they end up paying this. And we haven't negotiated a good price. I'd like the board to vote this down or just carry it on until we get the Verizon lawyer back in here. He can't take the time to meet us tonight? we got a meeting next week. We got a meeting next week, right?
Yes.
Come next week. I mean, I just, you know, we're not getting anything for 10 years.
Why
And
is
this
it
is
so
gonna be
long?
compounded, you know, every year. And again, the numbers, you know, for a Verizon, you know, for these people, the seniors are on fixed income.
Can I explain the 81 cents?
No,
Well, can we,
I want you to get this Verizon guy back in here, and let's try to get, you know,
okay, well,
yeah, I mean, I just feel we haven't negotiated.
let me have him explain. He wants to explain the 81 cents. And then, are we gonna get Comcast? Is this the same thing that's gonna happen with Comcast?
Their licenses are offset, so we have another 7 years before Comcast is ready to renew their
Okay,
license.
so the last contract was 10 years?
Yes,
With Comcast.
with Comcast. So what ends
No.
up happening is Comcast will then follow suit and also have an 81 cent increase for Comcast. So that they both have fair market costs, and that's what it's all about. Now, the license is really just a license to do business here in town, that's all. And the pass-through that we're talking about, which is 81 cents a month, is what we've requested as a minimum to fund just the replacement of that equipment and what is needed to hire a videographer.
So
So
we-
we're at the minimum.
We're paying them to do business in our town. Why don't they pay, how come they're not paying us?
No, what they're doing is we're giving them a license to pay in town and, or to, excuse me, be in town. And so they have a right to come into the market. And so what we're trying to do is encourage Comcast and Verizon to come into the market for competition. And they can charge what they can charge, and that's all an FCC-regulated process. The only thing that's really of issue is this 81 cents. And I provided you kind of a breakdown of what that is involved. And so if you amortize that over a 10-year period of time, that's all we're replacing. And that is as minimal as we can do. Without that and without the videographer, we don't have anybody to,
You realize when we signed the original Comcast and Verizon contract, they, both Comcast and Verizon, gave this equipment,
Yep.
both here,
exactly.
the schools, and the fire department, police department, and the elderly, free. Did you know that?
It was actually part of a pass-through, so.
It was part of the package, the initial package. They were giving this equipment free to us, with television set and cameras for the school on the initial contract. They were bidding for the contract, both Verizon and Comcast. I don't think they've given this free anymore,
No.
and I don't think they've supplied the schools with up-to-date cameras. I don't believe that's happened in quite a while. Now we're gonna go 10 years, gonna charge us 81 cents for equipment. They were supposed to give it to us free.
So the original license for Verizon was similar to this one. It was a 10-year license, and we authorized them to come into the community and provide the service. We negotiated out a very similar pass-through for the capital, and they're required by the federal government to provide us that pass-through at our request. If we request nothing, then they have no pass-through, but then we don't have that. And so what we're setting is our own pass-through, and they're required to pay that.
What do we charge them to come into Nahant?
We don't. The federal government allows them to be in the market, and again, it's to encourage competition. So if Comcast was by itself, Comcast would have a monopoly on the rates. Comcast and Verizon are encouraged to be in the same communities for that purpose, so that their competitiveness brings the prices down. And this is all federal government.
And they charge, that doesn't make sense. I think we need
What
to
are they
sit down.
paying?
I think we need to sit, I think you're right, Richie. I think we need
What
to
are they
sit down.
paying for the use of the cell phone?
I'm not sure that they're on there, and if they are, it's a separate understanding for a separate purpose. This is for specifically providing service from their station to the door of the house of each of the service providers.
You don't know.
No, I'd have to look at specifically what they have on that tower. I'm not sure what they have, but it doesn't have to do with this per se. 'Cause this-
You know how many licenses are on that tower?
I couldn't say right now.
Sprint, I think, yeah. They're all cell phone. That's a cell,
Yeah.
Right.
They're a different service package.
Well, what I don't understand is why we don't charge them to come into town. I mean, why don't we have a fee for them to even come here?
It's similar to National Grid. We don't charge them to come into town. What they're doing is they're providing a service. We allow them in our right-of-way. So they're looked at as a public utility, and that's regulated again by federal government. So if we were to have the attorney come in, one of the things he said is that Verizon, this is a very low return market for Verizon, and if it was of concern to you, they could leave the market if that's would be the preference of the town. And I said, it seems to me that would be counterproductive.
You know the cost? Have you looked at all the costs?
If the cost for the pass-through, yes.
We could supply the Comcast customers in the Verizon direct TV. Get him. Don't hit him to me.
It's just a fly.
No, that's a B. Hello.
Never bother you.
Where was I? We could supply direct TV to all the Comcast and Verizon for the cost of this. And it'd be cheaper for direct TV to put all direct TVs in everyone in the 1,300 homes. Have you done that numbers?
I would disagree on that, because all that 81 cents pass-through is that. And when it comes to their rates that they charge the homeowners, that is completely a company decision. We cannot control that, and federal government won't allow us to control it. So if they choose to keep climbing up, all they're doing is hurting their marketability.
You're telling me what government? Is this Cuba or where is this government?
Federal
We're the government. We're the government. And we allow, I mean, what government are you talking about? The
We are under
federal,
the
state government?
We are under the auspices of the state and federal government, and they regulate issues like this.
Well, I think I disagree. I do tend to agree with Richie on this. There's gotta be some kind of a catch where we can charge them some kind of a fee or work out some kind of a better deal with them. Because they'll just keep adding and adding and adding, and the bill doesn't go down. My Comcast bill is expensive.
This is
Cable is never gonna go down. And that's one thing that we always had that was free. Television was always free, and now it's not, so.
But we have no control over that. That's a federally
Are
protected.
you from Verizon?
No, I'm actually...
No, Ben, you wanna speak on this?
Yeah, well, I was just going to throw a suggestion out, that there are towns that have banded together and provided their own internet service. That is an option, right? I mean, it would still cost, right? You're gonna pay a cost one way or another, because then you would be responsible for the lines and the service, but that would be an option. If the town pulled together, we could provide our own service and not have Verizon and or Comcast.
Okay, thanks.
Just something to think about.
Well, I think we need to look at it all, but right now, I think we have an 8
Yes, we
o'clock
have
posting.
an
8 o'clock posting, so we'll go back to, we'll come back to this.
No, let's vote it in or out. Let's not move on. The assessors right here, it's gonna take a couple of minutes for the assessors. I'm not worried.
Right, well, I just don't wanna go over the, all
No, that's all right.
right?
Any time past 8 o'clock, so it's any time past 8 o'clock, so
Okay,
we just
all
can't
right, so
start
we can
before
wait.
8, yeah.
And the assessors they've gotta be at the prom at 8:30, so we
Right.
gotta.
So we can wait. All right, so you wanna wait on this?
No, I don't wanna wait anymore. It's the discussion. I'm very disappointed in the performance of not negotiating this contract. I know it seems very minimal, 81 cents, but I'm very, the performance in negotiations, it just amazed me, that, we represent the people of Nahant, and we gotta stand up for them. And especially the elderly. They're on fixed income. The Social Security check didn't go up 81 cents, guarantee you. Medicare went up, 18%. So there goes right out the window. So we gotta look out for them. And these contracts, 81 cents is, you don't put the numbers in here correctly. You don't figure it out. 81 cents times 12, what's the current rate? See, it's not spelled out in a worksheet, okay? How much they're gonna be paying, what's Comcast paying, what's DirecTV paying. I mean, this memo here, it says it's a 10-year contract. The annual revenue capital is $7,429. Number of subscribers, 763. So the 763 people, monthly cost increase passed on the rate is 81 cents. Yeah, but they don't, you should have had this 81 cents times 12 times 10 years. And I guarantee you, within that 10-year period, this contract, they'll be in for another increase. And the government is okayed it. I don't know which government it is, but anyways. I've talked about it a lot, and I so move the rate increasing. Let's keep going. I'm just beaten down here.
I'd like to talk to the guy at the next meeting.
Okay. So, well, he put a motion for it. You want a second?
What do you put a motion for?
To accept it.
Well, can accept it?
No, I'll move that we move it to the, which is next week.
Yeah, that's fine.
I move that we review it, have you all review it, and have the town administrator review it too, and give all the pluses and the minuses.
Okay.
There's no recommendation from you on this thing.
This is the fourth time we've seen this, and so this is an
No,
abbreviated.
this is the fourth time we've seen the same memo.
Yeah, but you also had all the backup documentation the previous time, so this time I just gave you the summary.
Right, so what he's doing is,
Yeah, but-
this guy's not giving us, he's not giving us any leeway. There's no movement on it, so.
But they're protected by the federal government, so.
Well, I understand that, but they certainly can do something about this. And we can certainly figure a way to charge them to come into Nahant. And we can certainly say to them, look, I would agree with them. He should be here to explain all this, because the bills keep going up. I mean,
For next
the
week,
federal government, they'll give you a contract for $125 a month, and then on the second year, it goes up to $350 a month.
I'll request John
So
be here.
that's a far cry from 81 cents.
You need to see-
And those cameras right there, we bought those. They didn't,
With the budget that we received from the previous pass-through.
right, but it was a grant, correct?
But what it was is a funding through this same pass-through process. And it's regulated by the
so
federal
you're telling me Verizon paid for the cameras and all the audio and video equipment?
Verizon and Comcast.
Huh, Comcast in it?
Both.
How much do they pay each?
I'd have to,
Well, again, the information, I'm asking questions that should be in your memo.
they were in the three previous, so,
Oh, this is
again,
all I
just put
got. This is all I got right here.
well, I can certainly provide, I can bury you with information.
No, I don't need you to bury information. Just give me the information that we require and request.
like you had the first three times.
I'm sorry?
Like you had the first three times.
No, again, again, no. Now you're getting to me again. You should fill out this memo and have who, what, where, and when, all right? And then you're gonna bury me with information?
No.
You don't bury me with information, Mr. Town Administrator. I don't like that comment. I don't like that comment whatsoever. You're talking to the Board of Selectmen, your boss, and I'm asking for questions. If the other two members of the Board of Selectmen don't like the way I'm moving on this, they can speak up and say, listen, I think it's gone far enough. Okay? But I'm asking questions, specific questions concerning a 10-year contract. This is not 1 year contract, it's a 10-year contract. And you're telling me, okay, I want to know how much we paid, where the money came for the cameras, and who bought it, how much did it cost? Did the school get their cameras?
Did they get anything out of it?
Is the-
Okay, well,
They got nothing.
that's a problem.
Back to the original contract. The original contract, they were supposed to supply us with a camera for town hall and a camera for the school.
If we
And
nego-
then the fire department was supposed to have a free service, the police department,
which they do.
okay. But that should be all laid out here, all right? All right. I move that we put this over to next, the 14th.
The next meeting, next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I second.
Second, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, now, we are gonna go to the tax classification hearing, the Board of Assessors.
So you gotta read the memo here, hang on.
It's the legal ads, third page in,
No,
Where is the,
highlighted. You got the blue tab on it. And so,
yeah,
notice, I want me to read it? All right, go ahead.
okay. Oh, boy. The Board of Selectmen hold a public hearing on Thursday, September 7th, 2017, at 8 p.m. in the Town Hall, 334 Nahant Road, Nahant, Mass., on the issue of tax classification. The purpose of the hearing is to allow taxpayers the opportunity to present their views on whether or not residential, commercial, industrial, open space, and personal property should be taxed with one rate, or all property classes or to use different tax rates for different cases, causes of property. The hearing will include a presentation by the Board of Assessors. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the Board of Selectmen shall determine whether or not one tax rate shall be applied for the fiscal year 2018 tax rate. Currently, the town taxes at a single tax rate for all property classes. In addition, the Board of Selectmen will determine whether or not to allow exemptions for small commercial businesses and other occupied residential properties. All concerned taxpayers are encouraged to attend to present their views or in orally or in writing. I'm sorry, it's very difficult
Small
for me to see
writing.
it.
Yeah, it's very small writing.
All right. If there are any questions about the hearing, please contact Sheila Hamilton in the Assessor's Office, 781-581-0212. Sorry. Francis Bell, Chairman, Board of Selectmen.
Can you read the dates on the bottom?
Yes. Posted 8/24/17, Town Hall in Nahant.org. Item August 24th, 31st, 2017.
Mr. Chairman, was this advertised in the Lynn item?
Yes.
How come
This
it's
is
not?
the item right here,
Where is the item?
right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Turn it over to Sheila to give the
Yes.
presentation.
So you have to go to the mic.
Yeah, you have to.
I want to go to the mic.
Why don't you come up here, Sheila?
Or Sheila, come up here.
Sheila, come sit right next to me here.
I have both, actually. I have both.
Our hearing should be fairly easy about the tax classification hearing. You know that we have over 95% just strictly residential class, and then that remaining commercial and industrial is 1.74%, and personal property 2.9%. The 2.9% for personal property represents only 100 accounts. So that if you're going to be shifting anything, the residential only will save a penny or two, and the commercial, industrial, and personal property will be jacked.
We're not gonna be shifting with Sheila. Whatever you recommend on the board, we're gonna go with.
Well, I think we should go like we normally have with a residential factor of 1, and that we do not allow a residential exemption, and that we do not allow a small commercial exemption.
Excellent.
Okay.
Would you like me to read it?
Sure. Yep.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve a residential factor of 1 and not adopt a residential exemption or small commercial exemption for fiscal year 2018, and that the LA-5 excess capacity for the current fiscal year is calculated as $8,379.84.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize the Assistant Assessor to electronically sign the LA-5 form for submission to the DOR for purposes of setting the fiscal year 2018 tax rate, and that the form with our original signatures will be maintained on file.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That was easy, thank you. And so I have the original LA-5, which I will leave with Jeff, and after your meeting, you will sign, and I will meet with
Sign it
Jeff.
right now. Give it to us, and we'll pass it right down, sign it now.
Okay.
How's that? Gee, thank you.
And I just want to add that the assessors are going to set the tax rate, and the Board of Selectmen are going to set the tax rate at $10.25 on 1,000, which is, Jeff had said, is the lowest it's been in 7 years?
Where do we,
7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years?
I can tell you.
where do we sign it?
On the second page, I have a little blue, just anywhere in there.
Oh, okay.
I do have a sheet that, our lowest was $7.11 in 2007.
What was that again, 11.7?
$7.11 in fiscal year 2007, and since then it's been going up. But back in 1992, it was $11.32.
Right.
So I think you're
No, I
doing
think-
pretty good.
I think the town has done a good job in keeping the tax rate very reasonable. There's some cities and towns that I would not want to live in, I can tell you that, because their taxes
I'll
are
take
just
it.
really high.
And I just wanted to point out that our values have gone up, and we've seen about a 4.2% increase overall, and so the latest single-family resident home is valued at about $626,000, and the tax impact will be about $130, including CPA.
On behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I want to thank you and the Board of Assessors for a nice job, as usual, every year, and the work and the night work and meetings.
And don't forget about the veterans and all the other residential exemptions.
Oh, absolutely, veterans, yeah.
Okay. They'll have, the tax bills hopefully will be out on time for October 1st.
Now, the veterans and the exemptions have to be applied for by when?
We have a new date, April 1st,
April, oh, okay, so.
2018.
Oh, okay, good.
So those would be the
Blind, veterans, elderly, yeah. So if anybody needs help, I'll be running a workshop down in the Council on Aging. I usually do that every year. So hopefully I, can reach out to the public. I'll put it in the newspaper and on the website.
Yeah, you put it on the website and give it to us too, we can announce it.
Right,
I
okay.
know you not
Thank you.
only take care of the senior, but you take very good care of the veterans.
Oh,
Very,
well,
very pleased with that.
well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you, the money people are leaving.
Thanks, Sheila.
Yeah, Mark's got it, so don't let him go.
Water sewer lien?
Yeah, I think we did the water and sewer tax.
Okay, we did.
Yeah, so now it's the quarterly billing,
Right. Okay, so,
the information you saw before.
right. That is,
It's 2E.
right, I got it right here. So,
This might help. And so,
all right, so the board, we had asked, sure, I have it right here. We had asked the town administrator to review quarterly billing. But what I don't see is, I'd like to see some information from what the workload's gonna be with, especially the taxes, real estate taxes, water and trash, I think is right here. But I'd like to see what the treasurer collector would have to say about this. And what kind of workload it's gonna create with her system, and the town accountant. I'd like to see what they have to say before I think we should move this off.
Sure.
Okay? Yep. Sure. All right. So you could get their input, please?
I'll come back with it.
All right. Okay. Next is the...
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
To get to change the payroll from weekly to bi-weekly, is that a big deal? It doesn't have to be really negotiated, does it?
No, we actually did already negotiate it, and so right now what we've been waiting for is the treasurer collector, the new treasurer collector, to get into her mode so that we could start to discuss that. It's anticipated that we are negotiated for going to weekly. It's just a matter of when and then forecasting it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So as soon as the treasurer collector is up to speed and feels comfortable in taking that on, because it is an added burden. It obviously goes from once every 2 weeks to once every week. So we can actually,
No.
I'll talk to you about a timeline on that for the,
Right now, it's weekly.
yeah, it's weekly, excuse me, you're right. We're
The other
back.
way
So,
around.
Yeah, exactly, once
Yeah.
every 2 weeks, yes.
But it'd be cost effective.
No, it's,
Okay,
that's why
okay.
we negotiated.
That's what I, okay. Well, that's why I negotiate, okay.
But I'll put it on here just to keep it on the radar.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is, under ongoing business, is the recycling petition that was brought up at the town meeting. And Mary Lowe has provided us with what dumpsters would cost. So if each complex had a 6-yard dumpster collected once per week, the estimated cost would be, this is for a condo complex, $175 per month for each dumpster. Alternatively, if we put 96 gallon carts at each building and empty them with the root truck that collects for the town, I estimate we would need 20 carts for the 60 units, and the cost would be $125 per month for each location. The tonnage would be included with the town's recycling tonnage in this case. I don't know how, I mean, I cannot see, these people have the ability, and I've said this over and over again, to recycle, whether it's at Bass Point Apartments, whether it's at the Edge Hill up here, or the Edge Hill, or some of the smaller apartments in Nahant. If they don't pay a trash fee, the nominal trash fee because they have a dumpster, they still have to pay a certain amount, and it gives them the ability to recycle for free. And we're just gonna, all we're gonna do is give them another fee. We're gonna make them pay for a dumpster that they might not want, when they have the ability just to take a recycling bin and put it out. I mean, I went out and bought a recycling barrel last week. It cost me $50, but that's just something you have to do, you know, and because my bins are just, had fallen apart. I don't see Waste Management coming through with any, they should come through with some more recycling bins, and we'll get into that in a minute, but I don't know how you guys feel about it, or you want to say anything about it. I mean, if it was free, that would be fine. If they were willing, if Waste Management was willing to put dumpsters at these places for free, that's different, but I'm not gonna make them, their rent go up or their condo fees go up because we decided to make them go up. Doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't. Any input?
It does seem like it's another fee.
Well, it is, and they're gonna pay, they're gonna be paying for it.
I think it's a point well taken. Just gonna be more expensive, and these people just, some of them are just barely making the rent at Bass Point and also the condos.
Right.
So I just, an extra cost. I don't see the problem. If I found debris all over the place, I could see it, but it's not. This thing is working pretty good.
No, and I think Vi had done this originally, and I think it's well intended, but I think if we educate them more, these people, some of them with recycling, and if they want to recycle, they can. They should know that. They should get a notice. Maybe we can send out notices to them that they can recycle. I think Bass Point provides barrels for recycling down there. Whether they choose not to, that's different. I mean, we can't.
Can and should.
Right. You can't force them to do it.
No, but you can tell them that
You can ask them.
available.
Right. Let them know that it's available. So, I'll entertain a motion that we, not accept this. I just can't accept it.
I move that we table.
Table it? Okay.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
That's indefinite, right?
Getting back to the trash, there was a gentleman up on Chamberlain Circle, okay? And I'm gonna give you his name in a little while. I don't wanna put it on TV, but he had a problem, and I don't know if anybody else is, but they beat up his recycling bin, brand-new recycling barrel. They put a hole in it, and he's a nice guy, well-spoken. He called me at the garage, and he was really just it was pleasant to talk to. He said, you know, I called them a couple of times, and they don't call him back. And he's supposed to meet with them. They never show up, the route supervisor. So he needs to be taken care of. And I'll give you his name afterwards. And he also wants to be on the noise abatement committee, this gentleman, all right? Him and Rick Scortis. You know, did I mention him the last time? Okay, I think we should appoint them. these two gentlemen to that committee, because there's only one guy on there for the airplanes.
So let's take care of it.
Right, we will, and that, but I want,
Yeah, okay, you get that in.
right,
On the recycling bin? The
we
town-
already took care of that.
No, what do you mean we took care of it?
The recycling, oh, that gentleman's recycling bin?
It's destroyed.
Yeah.
We should give him a new one,
Yeah?
the town, and deduct it from the, from the trash company.
Okay, sure.
I'll pass it on to Waste Management. They're very good at this. I'm not sure why they're not getting back to them.
Give him the name and address and tell him to, you know,
Right, I have all the information.
make sure
I
we
have.
give him is Waste Management gonna give them a new bin?
Yes, or they'll pay for it.
Oh, they'll pay
One or
for
the
it.
other.
Right, they haven't, I mean, he's really tried everything, and they're ignoring him, and he's,
We should follow up that too, and get us a name and a backup name, primary response to complaints. You can't call anybody Friday afternoon, Public Works is gone, the police don't wanna, they can't call anyone else, it's like 4 hours overtime. So we need, they're supposed to be following those trucks, and, we need a telephone number of Waste Management, that they're gonna pick up the phone, and the supervisor to go pick up the trash. We split it Thursday and Friday, and they should be following up on Thursday or Friday if there's trash missing.
And if I may, could you inform them they have missed Summer Street Court the last 2 weeks for recycling, not trash? Thank you.
the disappointing part is, I honestly thought that on the Thursday and Friday pickup dates, it would be different, and, what I'm finding is, what Waste Management did was, they just put one guy in the truck. There's one guy, he has to drive the truck, get out, and dump the trash. They should have two guys in that truck. Now, I understand it's more of a
Economics.
cost for them, but they should have thought of that before they signed a contract with us, and their contract was higher than everybody else, if I recall, per load, I think. Way back when we signed the contract, when I first became a selectman. And they should really take the hit on this, because they have to provide a service, and they weren't providing it on a Friday. And they were breaking barrels, they're breaking glass, they're missing houses. They drove right by my garage last week, and I just looked and I go, oh, well, I didn't call anybody, I just brought the barrels in, and I waited till this week, but, they drove right by it. So they do make mistakes, and they continually make mistakes, so.
I also think, if I can throw in, that I've done some thinking on this, that I would have probably, if I had my druthers and was a little more experienced, I would have said, forget Friday, let's do Wednesday, Thursday. Because Friday, the town shuts down at noontime.
Right.
Town hall. And as Richie said, and you said, people have told me you can't get through to them.
No.
To Waste Management. But the town hall could.
Well,
So,
I'll
I
give you
mean,
this.
I know that's something to look at in the future.
Yeah. Well, when's that contract up with them?
I want to say it's a 6-year.
6 years, something like that, yeah.
All right. All right, so that takes care of that.
You can give me that name.
Yeah, I have that, I'll write it down for you.
Can I bring up a couple things?
Sure.
First of all, I've asked for complaints at the town hall, at the selectman's office, every week. So the board gets it, and email people that call and complain about trash, so we can have. Right now, who's gonna follow up with these trash complaints? Do we need to bring them in and have them appear in front of us? The chairman or whoever's from Waste Management? Do we need to do that? I mean, it seems like a simple fix, one driver picking up all, they split it up in time, but they cut the drivers in half, so instead of 2 per truck, they got 1. And they're very cute about what they're doing. And that guy gets tired after doing a route. And, so, are you gonna follow up and tell them they need 2 men per truck?
I'll talk with them and report back.
No, I don't want you to talk to them, I want you to tell them, this is what we want. And if they don't wanna do it, bring them in for next Thursday night. I mean, I'll tell them. If you can't do it, and you gotta tell them. We can't have these people missing streets, whether it's trash or recyclables.
I
They
don't,
go by Ocean Street and Ocean Street Extension, they just go by.
We haven't
I get phone calls from the same ones
Thank you.
down there every time, and then I gotta go find a truck or,
We haven't experienced any unresolved calls, and people have called us and told us that they do call the number that's on the webpage, the town webpage, and they do get responses. We had one situation where they got a different response, and so we had to call a different response than what we were telling them. So we called in and we got our storyline straight. We were a little off on what we were telling people.
okay.
So they are being responsive. We're not getting complaints that aren't, that continue unresolved, so I'll talk to them about the one person, see what.
I mean, right, there's one person, I actually talked to the kid, and, he's very nice.
He is.
He's a good kid, and but he said, you know, it's difficult. He said, all you did was just have us come out, and they just eliminated one guy, two guys, and that wasn't the intent. The intent is to get the job done, I mean, and not miss. I mean, I can still remember picking up the trash, when we got stiffed by the first company in Bass Point. It took us all day. I mean, that was it's not easy. So, they need to step up to the plate, without a doubt. And you know, I do hear complaints, and like Mr. Lombard said, we're supposed to have a complaint sheet in that selectman's office. I haven't seen any, and I get quite a few about trash and other things, so, and I've informed them they should be calling the selectman's office,
And it's on, I have a weekly list that I sit with, my two administrative assistants and talk with them about, and that's always on the list, and they're always reporting that there aren't any complaints. They do have reports that they send into the DPW for work orders, but they're not in the form of a complaint. So, they're just not hearing anything. I'm not sure where these issues are going. And we speak to the police department on a monthly basis just to see what they're hearing, and they're not hearing anything either. So I hear you though. Well, let me talk with them and see what I can do.
okay, I'll expect it at the next meeting, because I can tell you, I do get complaints. I know Richie gets complaints, and T, I'm sure you get complaints.
well, they throw the recycle bins, and those are plastic, hard plastic, and they break, and they snap in half.
If they hit wrong, too, you can hear them when they hit wrong.
They break, and then people, you know, and then next thing you know, we put a recycle bin up that was all cracked, they threw it away. And it's like, I mean, you know, it's like crazy. The performance, again, is poor. Okay, if I had to give them a grade, it's poor performance. Because I think if we put all these complaints together, you'll find a lot more. People don't want to call because they just don't want to complain. Okay, and they're not gonna call the police department because they figure their name's going in a computer of complainants or something, who knows? But, they're afraid to call.
Town administrator report?
Okay.
Yep.
Town administrative report.
Okay, we have the Nahant veterans are looking for one-day liquor licenses on 9/15 and 11/11. And do you have a motion on that?
I'll make the motion. Hold on, where is it?
It is 3A.
Yeah, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve a Nahant Veterans Association request for license of sale of all alcoholic beverages, wine, malt beverages, wines only, for non-profit, for those 2 dates, which would be September 15th, which is tomorrow, and November 11th, which is Veterans Day, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., and then from 12, on the 11th of November, it's from 12 p.m. To 9 p.m. I so move that, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We also have a change in the ownership of Seaside Pizza, so we need to also change the common vicular license, and so you have a motion on that.
Where is that?
That is to 3B.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the common victular license for Seaside Pizza because of change of ownership.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great.
Motion carries.
We also have a change in the water sewer rates. Now, this came about because we had an unfilled position in water sewer that was elected not to be filled and not put in the budget at the last minute, and we didn't change the rates. So we're swapping the burden from sewer to water, but it has no effect on the overall water sewer rate itself. But it's a bookkeeping issue, and you have a motion on that too.
3C.
Stays the same.
Let me read it, Rich. Let me read it, Richie.
Where is it?
3C,
Yeah, you got it right.
Right here?
sideways.
Sideways? Am I supposed to read it?
Yes, sir.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to revise the fiscal 18 water and sewer rates from $7.69 water and $8.53 sewer, $16.22 total, to $7.78 water and $8.44 sewer, $16.22 total.
Second.
So it's the same.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it stays the same, it's just shifted from one to the other. Okay, all those signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. I just want to say something about the water and sewer. I'm on it's a kind of an ad hoc committee to look at the book that we were presented with all the sewer problems and water, not problems so much, but the infrastructure repairs that we need to do. So I would say we should move or find some money to do the scoping of that sewer pipe. I would,
Force main.
the force main, I would, and I understand it's gonna have to be done at a certain time when you have to shut the system down. But Dan Coughlin has recommended that, and that will give us a better idea. I don't know what it's gonna cost, but it'll give us a better idea of what we need to do, Richie. And I think that's important, because we're not gonna have a special town meeting for the water and sewer. We don't need to have one.
Really?
As T has explained to me. And actually Debbie has. And so we don't have to have that. But I think we need to move and find out exactly where we need to make adjustments on that, or repairs.
And you're saying to have the amount presented before us and then we approve it?
Yeah,
Down
Dan
the road.
Coughlin would, I mean, I think we pretty much have a price. and
Dennis.
With
Dennis.
Yeah, I do have the information on it, how they do it and all, but they gotta shut the whole system down in order to do it.
Drained and dry.
Which is, you gotta make sure that you do it just right.
Right. Okay.
So, we have to pick up the best time, and, there's other options that we can do, with that sewer pipe. I mean, if the whole thing needs to be replaced, I've been talking with, we could go right across the ocean. It would save us a lot of time and a lot of space.
We've been talking about that.
Right. Instead of going down the causeway and down the Limway, you just dredge it, harbor, and do a straight shot right to Lynn Water and Sewer.
It's a great
Which is
idea.
probably less than a half a mile. So, those are things that we're looking at.
Okay, I'll
As an
have
update.
Dennis and Dan join us at our next meeting to talk that through.
Okay.
We're back to Hollywood. We have had Van Warmer International, which is a film company. They're doing small, kind of Hallmark-style German films, and they've been here before. They are now looking to come back and do some filming in the East Point area and then Marginal Road. And so they're looking for approval. You have a motion on that.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request from Van Warmer International Filming at Lodge Park, 9/21/17, from 5 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., and Marginal Road, 11:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Lodge Park on September 30th, 2017, from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
You want me to pick up the 40 steps while I'm at it? 5A?
What's that?
You want me to pick up 5A while I'm at it?
Well, I do want to talk about the 40 steps preventment. This is becoming an issue. We hired Woods Hole Group to come out and take a look at that. I was out there with Jeff and Mitch and Mark. We looked at it, and they came back with a couple of recommendations. But, you know, we're gonna need help with this. Now, I noticed that the other day, the Lieutenant Governor was here, and with a photo op, was something that, you know, Richie and Senator McGee and Mark Cullen had put together, the $410,000 grant for the wharf. And, you know, thankfully, you know, Richie knows the right people and got that through. And Lieutenant Governor was nice enough to take a photo op with you and with the Dennis and everybody, so
Two chiefs.
it was nice of her to do that. But I think we need to talk to her and ask her to give us a little help with this, with 40 steps, because the way the DEP wants to handle that with the soft revetment, and they've dug their heels in. If you look at that soft revetment that Northeastern did, I think it lasted about 20 minutes. Didn't work. So she come out here for a nice photo op. I think we should probably get a hold of her and say, you know,
Well, I think you need to go to McGee's, someone has to talk to McGee and
right.
Brennan and ask for help, but,
We can't have a soft revetment there. Their big thing is, DEP's big thing is that prior to 78, if those Jersey barriers were there, we'd be okay. But my argument would be, the road was there before 1978. And if we lose that road, then we lose everything.
One of the recommendations of Woods Hole was that we look at an environmental council, and I spoke with one of their recommended individuals, and he seemed very knowledgeable, but he spoke to just that issue.
Right.
Which he believes that, there's a term called either house or structure.
Right.
And it's meant to be, a residence, but, he feels that it's always been interpreted as involving infrastructure as well. So,
yeah.
he feels it's highly defensible.
Well, that road is actually, you can say that it's a bank, it's a coastal bank. The whole road is, so it's actually a revetment. So they need to fix that. We need to fix that. And I understand they've dug their heels in for whatever reason, but, you know, and I didn't go down to that, down to the wharf, but I would have definitely mentioned to her, and I think maybe you should, give her a ring and say, look, you know, we need help with this. You are the Lieutenant Governor, and Charlie Baker, the governor, lives right around the corner. We need help with this. We need somebody to talk to DEP, because we don't want to lose a roadway, because somebody doesn't want to give us a permit for it. And this is a FEMA grant, and we need to have the permit in place before FEMA will give us the money.
So how do you feel about having legal counsel just give us some, general guidance so we don't end up stepping on toes or stepping on a process?
They're the ones that, by Woods Hole, right?
Correct.
I don't have a problem. I think Woods Hole they're the ones that did the flood maps, you know, for us.
yeah.
Yeah, so this would be Richard Nyland, who isn't associated with Woods Hole, but Woods Hole recommended them. Him. Yep. And, we would do a political as well as a partial redesign.
See if we can get some help.
Yeah.
And the Lieutenant Governor was enamored with Nahant. She'd
That-
The Lieutenant Governor was enamored with Nahant. She'd never been out here before.
Oh.
She was just floored.
I should have brought her up to 40 steps.
We took her up to, East Point. She was
Yeah, East
beside herself, yeah. So,
You didn't stop in front of Peter's house, did you?
no, we didn't.
By the way, I had a discussion with him, and he said not to stripe in front of his house.
As long as they
Tow, if you continue, last weekend when they towed 22 cars or something, the chief told me, and he'd be very appreciative of that. And I think that, did you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry?
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
I was just after him, I didn't hear what you were saying.
Well, you
You gotta start paying attention. Stop,
No, he's,
stop having the sidebars. I talked to Peter.
Yeah.
And he said not to stripe,
Yes.
and as long as we increase the towing, which we have last weekend, I forget what weekend the chief was telling me, but they towed quite a few cars.
Right.
And if you keep continue that, we need to, tow them, and as you had mentioned, when it comes Memorial Day, from Memorial Day on to, about a month, and they won't come back. And we need to review the parking fines. They're not paying these fines.
No. Well, they pay them, and
They don't pay 'em
It's
until-
$30. It's $30 to go to any beach in the state. So
No,
they-
so it doesn't matter. They
So-
just turn them and throw them away.
the towing, though, if you get towed on top of a ticket, that's the key.
Well, that's an
You do it a
expensive-
couple of weeks out of the year, but they're gonna do it everywhere, all around town, because they park all over these side streets. It'll stop. They'll
We
just-
gotta
they won't
remind
come back.
ourselves to put that on the agenda for
Right.
March, April, May. Tell the chief and send him a memo, that's all.
We need to get that straightened out, and they did a great job doing it.
In the past selectmen's meeting, we used to sign the warrants. I asked, send a memo about getting the warrants. You have them tonight?
I don't, I was out today, so I'll give you a copy, tomorrow or Monday. Deb's been out as well, so.
Well, just have them ready for next week. I don't make a special, I don't want extra work, but in the old days, we used to sign those warrants every week. In fact, if we were missing in a meeting or something, they'd be running down my house, because nobody could get paid unless two of us signed it.
Right,
I don't know what happened
case
to
of that in
that.
the school committee.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that, but for some reason, I just like to start a little more interest, a little more double checking on the, so I'm seeing all these legal things, and I don't know. We've got.
Another thing, if I could, and I'm not knocking, but I think it'd be nice if this guy Peter came up and told all three of us at once, instead of having you relay it to us.
Well, I happen to read.
No, I'm not saying anything bad. I just think he came up here to tell us that he was moving out of town. I think he should then turn around and tell us, okay, I'm satisfied you guys
He
have done a
told me
good job.
he's not moving.
Right. Well, that'd be nice,
Well, I'll tell him to come see us, put him on the agenda. I mean,
No, I mean,
I don't
it'd be
think
nice. It'd be nice for the police,
He
too,
doesn't
that they're
think that,
doing a good job.
he just tells one of us, and
No, I'm not saying anything bad.
no,
I would like to know transparency, have him come up and say it
well,
in front.
you've got to go to the people. You know what I mean?
And tell the people to come up here.
Well,
Doesn't matter, I'm just saying.
All right. One other thing, and I haven't forgotten this, the rights of ways,
Yes.
Oh, yes.
okay? I would entertain a motion that the administrator instruct the administrator's office to send out letters to the abutters, and you could get those letters from Sheila, the list from Sheila, to the abutters of any right-of-way, and send them out a letter saying that, if they have any obstructions on a right-of-way, they gotta remove it immediately, or it will be taken, we'll have to remove it ourselves. Because,
Some of them are permanent, though. They've decided to make it a permanent obstruction.
and they're gonna have to come forward and say, look, this is what we've done, and, or this is what's happened, and to put the signs back up. So I would entertain that motion that we,
So moved.
Second. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 So a letter will go out. You can draft a letter, just saying, if you, look, we can't have that. And
I'll work
we're
with
gonna keep
council.
bringing this up until it's corrected. Okay, closing announcements. Anything else, guys? Any under new business?
well,
Warrants, you wanna make that and put that into a motion?
he can bring it next Thursday night.
Okay.
But what is the status on the executive sessions? We canceled the executive sessions for the night, for 6 and 6:30, because of legal.
We can have it next week.
Are we gonna continue, are we gonna go through with that?
Yes.
We gotta have a meeting, we have an opportunity, well, the complaints have been made, and we gotta make sure we hear them.
We're gonna follow through that.
And have you finished with all your process, the process of these various grievances? Have you done it, and will they be ready for next week?
No, so what we'll have is by Monday, a week from this Monday is
A
the
week from
deadline.
this Monday?
Yeah. So we'll have the process on 3 grievances done by then.
Well, the grievances are separate from the
Letter?
letter.
Yeah.
We could hear that next week,
Letter?
an executive session.
Yeah, and, yeah, we can talk about that.
Well, I want to schedule myself, if we're going to have, we need to get that set up. And I want to make sure that certain department heads is available and should be present to be questioned. We're the hearing, I like to hear this thing.
But you have nothing to be hearing.
I'm sorry?
You have no hearing before you. All
No,
you
no,
do.
no. This is not a grievance.
Exactly,
This is a complaint.
exactly.
But we need to hear that. They want us to hear it.
And they can come in and speak to it.
But, yeah, I want to be able to ask questions.
Well, we're gonna go through the process.
No, let me finish. I want to be able to ask questions. That department head has to be present to ask questions. That individual's involved in this thing. And he has to come forward with the board, and I just want to ask him questions. And he should be available. You shouldn't be not coming. He can bring legal counsel. You can bring whoever you want, but I just want, that's not a grievance.
Okay, I'll bring counsel. I think, okay.
No,
I'll
but
bring counsel.
I don't want you to bring counsel. He can come with counsel. And while we're on this, I mean, we hired Tempest Fugit, right, the law firm?
General counsel.
And you, general counsel, you said there was 4 or 5 lawyers in that firm?
There are,
You sold, let me finish. You sold us on hiring this law firm because of the various capacity within that law firm for municipal law, Board of Appeals hearings, or anything like that. And now we've gone outside of that framework
for what?
for Labor Council. I
Labor
thought
Coun-
part of that firm was part of Labor Council.
No, labor council is something we've always held separately, so we've had both general counsel and labor counsel for 2.5 years. Before that, you also had a labor counsel.
Labor Council for 2.5 years.
Yep.
When did we vote on that? We vote on that?
No.
I'd have to look back to see if we did or not, but
I don't believe we did.
labor council's been before us numerous times.
Yeah, but we don't hire
When,
Jeff.
when was he
No,
before
no,
us?
and so what I can send you some information on that. But labor counsel is somebody that we use and I hired.
But-
And general counsel is also somebody we reuse and I hired.
And but we have to approve that.
No, you don't.
I disagree.
So we can go out and hire our Labor Council.
We
So
generally.
we're gonna have 3 teams of lawyers here.
No,
Well, you got the town council and his team, right? Now you got Labor Council,
traditional setup.
and they're writing opinions for you.
They're writing opinions for the town.
But we're left out of the loop.
Let me ask you a question.
No, you speak with Dan frequently.
What about the questions here? I saw opinion coming from you, and you didn't write that.
No, so what you've seen is an opinion from Labor Council, then you've seen a letter from me to the fire union. And I wrote the letter to the fire union. The Labor Council wrote the other letter.
So they've asked to meet with the Board of Selectmen. So, what do you think?
As long as what you're doing is listening, I think it's a good thing.
It's a good thing to hear them?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's always good to have communication.
And is it a good thing to have that department head present to answer questions?
As long as there aren't allegations, and those allegations then become a hearing.
I don't know what from allegation, I'm trying to get information. I wanna know who's saying what and who did what and why, and it's like, we should be able to question, just like I'm gonna question the union. I should be able to question that department head about what's happening, and for some reason, you're keeping them away from the Board of Selectmen.
No, what I'm trying to do is make sure that this system is fair. There's a proper grievance process for the union to come forward with a grievance, and so they define then the problem. Right now, what they're saying is a general concern, and that general concern opens up everything for discussion, and that's not fair to the individual.
But there's not a grievance. This isn't a grievance.
This isn't a grievance.
It has to be in a grievance form.
It's not a grievance.
Complaint.
It's a complaint.
I understand
And the
that.
reason why they didn't go to this individual, nor you, is because there's a mistrust here. And we gotta get to the bottom of that. And
See, you're
I don't
you're-
understand when I get that,
I think we should talk about this in executive session, because we're getting too much information in the public, and
it's not enough for me. I'm just trying to get to the facts and say,
I know.
I don't wanna wait till next week, we're gonna have the executive session. I like to have it at, an hour before our regular meeting next week, so I can schedule my time, but I don't wanna waste my time when half the parties, okay? If you go to a court of law, you have the defense attorneys and you have the prosecutor.
Yep.
And they're both represented by legal. And that individual can have legal, but I wanna be able to ask questions.
But if you go to a court of law, there's an accusation and there's a defense. There's
Now,
nothing.
you're assuming allegations.
No, what I'm saying is that there's a
No,
complaint.
you're assuming this.
No, what I'm
again.
saying, there's a complaint, and that's all.
Okay, and so,
So how do you plan on remedying it?
yeah, how do you plan on doing it then?
How do you plan on remedying it? I mean, I'd like to know how
I've technically answered the letter and asked it.
So you remedied it?
No. So I think the follow-up, if you read the letter, in the back it says that communication is everything, so I think we continue to communicate.
Oh, my
However,
God, that's one thing Nahant lacks, is communication, I can tell you that. But at any rate, I
Wait a
want
minute.
to entertain a motion, Richie, that we,
Well, I don't want to make more motions for him. I just want to make sure that we understand each other in the Board of Selectmen. I want to make sure there's no miscommunication between you and I, the department head and the fire union. I want to make sure there's no incident. I want both parties present.
we want to get to the bottom of it.
I should be able, as a member of the Board of Selectmen, to ask questions. If one party's not present, that lends me to think there's something wrong. And there's some either cover up or hiding or whatever they're doing, or whatever who's doing it.
So there you go with an allegation. So that's where I stopped this conversation. As the HR director, I cannot have this conversation occur in public session, and I will not have it.
No.
I have to
No,
protect.
this is not, we're not discussing personalities here.
No, but you're moving,
I'm
you're
saying
moving
policy.
towards something
It's not an
wrong.
allegation, what he's saying is...
I'm not allegations, I'm saying I want to have a hearing.
We want to know what's going on.
But you don't have justification for a hearing. That's what I'm saying.
You say that.
Yeah, I say
Now,
that.
you're saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that,
No, and that's why we keep talking.
but I'm your boss.
And I'm the one who enforces your rules.
You enforce my rule?
Yep. You've got a packet there, and those are the rules that you asked me
Hang
to
on for a
provide
minute.
you.
Hang on for a minute.
And this is an executive session discussion meeting.
No,
This
it's
cannot-
not executive
Oh,
session, because there's no personalities we're discussing here.
We're not talking about anybody.
Now, see, you're getting
We're talking about
Upset.
how...
No, I'm not getting upset. I can't put the town in legal liability, and you
We're talking
too
about-
freely
Jeff,
want to
We're
take
talking
us
about
there.
the process, how, we want to get to the point where we can sit down in a professional manner with all the parties and discuss what's going on.
But you keep calling it a hearing, and you keep
Well,
calling...
okay.
A meeting, we'll call it a meeting.
Meeting.
Okay.
Call it a meeting.
An executive session meeting.
What's wrong with that?
I can arrange that. I'll have council there, because
You-
council will have
you
to
can
define,
arrange-
council will have to define the line.
This is what I've done, okay? This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put forward a motion. I'm gonna entertain a motion that we seek legal counsel from KP Law in Boston and use them out of the selectmen's budget. We have our own budget for legal, and we will be consulting with them as the Board of Selectmen. Anybody wanna?
As to what?
As to any kind of legal matter that the Board of Selectmen has, so to protect ourselves, to protect the town.
And so you're saying that our legal counsel or labor counsel aren't protecting the town?
I have no contact with legal counsel, with
You
labor
talked to
counsel.
Dan-
I have never talked to labor
You're free,
counsel.
you're free to talk to labor counsel.
I'm free. We're
I don't
free.
think so, Jeff. That's not how I feel, that's not how it's going down, so
You,
my,
you talk freely to Dan,
no, listen,
general counsel.
I'm gonna put a motion, I'm gonna entertain a motion that we use, that the Board of Selectmen use KP Law, and that we,
It's our legal,
as our legal counsel for the Board of Selectmen in this instance, right now, and moving forward, we need to have them, because we don't need to make any mistakes. I'm entertaining that motion. Does anybody wanna,
I move it, I so move.
I move.
okay?
Second it.
Second?
He second mine.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, so
The
now we have,
question, the question I had, you've had hearings already. And you never invited one member of the board to those hearings.
These are hearings that are called out in the grievance process of the contracts, and it goes from the department head to the town administrator, and then as a third step can go to the selectmen. So they're called out specifically as to what we're supposed to do. That's the copy I gave you.
But it would be wise for you, it would have been wise and smart if you invited at least the chairman to that meeting, just sit in there to sit in there while you're deliberating.
So the process for step 1 and 2 in the grievance process is designed to look at the facts. That's it. And it just to roll the facts forward.
But
And-
you've looked at both facts.
Well, the department head has looked at the details, the facts,
Right.
and then put that into a response that has come to me, then I look at the details and facts, and that will be put into a response that comes to the next step.
I've never seen step one,
no.
the meeting,
And you typically don't.
and there's no recommendation from that?
No, you typically don't see it until step 2 to 3. So it
So,
now,
in step two, you've heard, right? You've heard how many grievances?
3 so far.
3.
Yep.
Now, you've already written opinion, or you had your legal people wrote opinion.
Well, that was kind of an opinion in that letter.
That was on the letter, we'll call it that way, the general letter that wasn't a grievance. So there are actually 5 elements out there. There are 4 grievances and then 1 letter. And that letter is what those were for. The grievances are still going through the process that's called out in the union contract. So it's quite specific as to how we progress through the process, and this is sitting in the second
So I
step.
want to make
That's
sure.
understandable.
Make sure next week, we're trying to get caught up in the business of the selectmen. So, and I suggested to the chairman, which we're back on schedule. Instead of the first and third Thursday night, we're back on schedule. Next week would be the 3rd week.
All right.
And to get caught up, we canceled the executive sessions for tonight because legally, we weren't on grounds, and I advised the chairman of that. We weren't on very solid ground because the grievance procedure has not finished
It hasn't started on that issue.
on that issue. But that's not a grievance, this is
Oh,
a,
exactly. But you have nothing before you on the other
but
grievance.
that's gonna be posted as an executive session and notify the people, the parties to be present.
So that's the 5th element, that's the letter, if you will, and that's not a grievance. And so the others are in the grievance, the formal grievance process, those are moving.
But you've heard 3 out of the 4, correct?
The 4th one is Monday. Yeah.
And so the 4th one, is there opinions, paperwork on the first 3?
No, so what happens on the hearing, what happens is first it goes between the aggrieved staff and the department head. Then the department head brings forward a recommendation, and if the aggrieved staff is still aggrieved, it goes to the town administrator. And then I have a hearing, and then I have a period of time in which to review the hearing information. So I'm in that review period after the hearing.
Well, that letter that you wrote.
That's for the letter, which is the
Right,
fifth
but
element.
that was your.
That's the fifth action.
That's the fifth element, and that's not a grievance, that's a
Right,
opinion.
so I'm only concerned with the two complaints, not the grievances, the two complaints. That's all we're concerned with, and they're not grievances. And we can have an executive session meeting for those.
But they'd have to be in a grievance process.
It's not really a grievance process because it's a complaint. It's just a complaint. I find it different. I've consulted with their labor council, which is very easy to talk to. I've never spoken to our labor council. I don't even know who you use, but
You've met him.
I would say that
Your labor council has already written an opinion on that letter.
He has written an opinion on the August 16th meeting.
August 16th meeting.
Yeah, so I asked him to write an opinion of what concerns were brought up in the discussion of the August 16th
Yeah,
meeting.
but this is your labor council that you've hired.
This is the town's labor council that defends the
You
town.
keep saying the town, you've hired it from State Street.
I hire on behalf of the town, and he is
Yeah.
obligated to defend the town.
This is a very high-priced law firm.
We wouldn't want a bargain basement one either.
Have you looked up the, well, I'm not gonna get involved with that, but this is a very high-priced labor council.
It's par.
All right, if I'm getting this right,
yeah,
the company we just hired,
yes.
why don't we get a written agreement, a written note from them saying that we can hear this, that it's okay for us to hear this
Well,
complaint?
I've been.
No, let me finish.
Yeah.
I don't wanna come into something that's gonna put us in jeopardy.
No.
If this law firm says, you can hear this because it's a complaint, and both sides are knuckling it up, and it comes to us because that's why we're here.
But T, my request is, and I wanna make sure, and I've been denied, I keep getting denied, you need both parties present.
Oh, absolutely, and that was my
And I'm getting pushback on one of the parties not coming to these meetings. Because, I don't know, I read this stuff, because, what did you say, what was your wording?
Allegations.
Allegations.
Yep.
But if you, this is not an allegation, this is fact. This is facts.
No, it's a specific viewpoint and of what they consider to be a wrongdoing. That's an allegation, and it's an opinion of an allegation.
So what should we do, Jeff, if we can't get that individual down there?
That's one portion of it. That's one portion of it. The other portion is not an allegation of any wrongdoing. It's an allegation of something different. It's actually not an allegation. It's something entirely different. It's a complaint.
So I responded to the letter,
I
and
understand
in there
that,
I
but-
addressed each
And I don't want to
position.
get too deep into
Yep.
this because I
Yep.
don't want anybody to, but
I have
the
never.
union can actually go public with that if they wish to, because it's a complaint. It's got nothing to do with,
But let
Thus
me
the
get back.
line.
and
Thus the line, because what you're doing is you're impugning somebody's character and their reputation.
Again, I don't know about that, but at any rate, we're gonna do this the right way, so,
Yeah, no, I agree.
In all my 35 years in this chair, I have never
I know.
come against anything like this before.
I can't explain that, but we
Awesome.
are, it's in front of us
But
now.
Okay, now, you've got labor council that's given you
The
a
town has labor counsel
You keep saying the town, it was you that hired him,
for the town.
for the town. Okay, so,
he never says, he never CCs us, never gives us any
we never,
information. don't
we
know who
never
he is.
knew that you hired him, number one. I never knew.
You've actually met with him before,
Who, us? When did we meet with him?
about a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago.
We had a personnel action in the DPW.
I remember it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Austin?
Oh,
Just wanted to say one thing. Jeff, you did assure the union and our labor council that there would be a formal hearing about both of those letters about a week ago.
Which letters are you referring to?
The rescue swimmer concern letter and the other letter that the union has provided the board of selectmen.
Austin, come up here. That microphone's no good.
come up here.
We're on the line of crossing over that, and I will step out of this meeting if I have to, as the HR director, because I have to hold the line. Could go too far, and I don't want it to go too far.
Well, he's asking you a question. He's just asking you that if you were gonna have a formal, I didn't quite hear it.
No, we're not having a formal hearing. I would do is I would have a meeting with the union and the chief.
Now, we didn't
Jeff,
say that.
you told the union and our attorney within a week ago that you would hold a formal hearing about this.
Not about this. Nope.
You want our attorney to draft a letter backing up what I'm saying?
I would enjoy that, yes.
Okay, that's what we'll do, and then we will schedule an executive session meeting for next week.
And I'll have the town's labor council here to guide us so that we don't step over lines, and that's all that it's intended to do, is just not to step over lines. Because I'm here to defend what I consider to be every employee of the town.
Well, we have labor council with this
You have labor council already.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not, again, we don't know him, I don't know him, and the Board of Selectmen has just made a motion to hire this company, and you know something, and we did, so, and it's KP Law. They're the best. They're all over the place in this state, and, you know,
All right.
I got some good guidance from them today, so we're gonna,
Let me try it again.
I guarantee you, this is not gonna happen next Thursday night. We're gonna have to go, okay? I'm getting more frustrated and more upset because you keep, okay, you're gonna stick to your guns. And I'll be honest with you.
As I'm required to.
As you're required to. You're required to answer to the Board of Selectmen.
right.
I'm required to uphold the laws that the Board of Selectmen
So-
put into place. And you put into place laws, and you have a packet there.
I have the packet.
Yeah.
I have the packet. I've read that already. I'm telling you, I'm just, you know, you well, you know something? Okay. We'll see you next Thursday.
What I have written in my letter.
But I move, Mr. Chairman, we have an executive session at 6:30, down below in the FinCom.
Next week. 6 o'clock?
6, no, 6, well, whatever.
6:30.
6:30?
Right, 6:30.
6:30, because you know, 6:30, okay?
I will
And then the
provide
following, we're going to a regular session at 7:30.
I will provide the proper documentation. I will provide the proper outline and who can come to this meeting and who will come to the meeting and what councils will come to the meeting.
And is this attorney going to say to us that this is a conflict? And I don't understand why we can't hear a conflict. I think we should. But I want this attorney to say that we have the right to have this hearing
We have a
yeah,
right
yeah,
for information.
for
We
information.
have a right for information. It's like the warrants are requested tonight. We have a right to those.
Exactly.
Just like when people, when there's a problem, okay? I don't want to do this. I don't want to get in the middle of this.
Right.
No.
But my hand's being forced because we've got individuals that are asking for help. And I'm just saying, okay, and I've got labor council that's been hired, and they've already given their opinion. And I
All
find...
they've given an opinion on is the August 16th meeting.
Okay. I'm not gonna argue.
So then why didn't he send it to us? Why hasn't he contacted us
Because
to explain anything?
I asked for the opinion as a means of giving us guidance as to the types of discussions we should and shouldn't have in those formats, and that's more for general guidelines. I told him to keep it neutral and just keep us in that realm. What should we and should not talk about?
I want from now on, by the way, I meant to bring thing up too, itineraries, okay?
I didn't hear you.
Every 2 weeks, you know, what the department heads are doing with their own vacation. I don't know who's on vacation, not vacation, you know what I mean? And I'd like to find out, all of a sudden, I find people on vacation that we need to talk to. And I'd appreciate those by next Thursday night, which will be going forward every 2 weeks, or once a month, and then updated with the administrative assistants. So I know who's on vacation, who's not on vacation. All of a sudden, no one says anything, and we get back, oh, that individual's not here because he's on vacation. So I want to see the vacation schedule through the end of the year. I would like to, and give it to me monthly, so I can see. I'm getting very confused of who's here, who's not here. You know, I think we got to tighten the controls. That's why I want to see the warrants, where the money's going.
Well, we should be
We're hiring
signing
a lot of lawyers, a lot of consultants, and I want to, with all this money, I mean, it's coming, I mean, I want to see what's being spent, and I want to start, we need to get hands-on here. Again, we never had to do this in all my years of service up here as a selectman. But I'm being forced into this position. I'm asking for hearings, for information on a complaint, and I'm getting pushback. I can't get all the information because one side's not coming. And I keep requesting him to be here or to talk to us, and he won't talk to anybody.
It's not him. I'm not allowing him to come.
Yeah, no.
You're not allowing him to come? Why is that?
Because it's against our regulations in the format that it's put together. And so what I'm trying to do is protect an employee. It's not specifically him, it's an employee.
Who signed this contract?
It doesn't matter. You
Sure
have,
does.
you have rules and regulations that govern personnel, and you can't override those rules and
So
regulations.
you're trying to think,
You're really not protecting him.
you're saying
Not protecting
to the
anybody.
board, we're not gonna allow anyone to meet with the board if we're asking for information.
No, what I'm saying is that you have rules and regulations you've set forward. I'm
Yeah,
enforcing.
but how do you know that? You've taken this...
Because they're that packet
No,
right there.
but you've taken that to a different step, and a different level, because all we're asking for is information. How do you know what we're gonna do and not do? You're saying we're gonna do something before the fact, and you're not allowing that individual to come forward. Now, why would you do that? You're taking the individual and saying, hey, I don't want you to attend this meeting because of this regulation here. And that's not, you're assuming the 3 members of the Board of Selectmen are stupid. You think I'm gonna burn someone at the stake, or we're gonna have an old-fashioned hanging on Friday night? Well, no, you're assuming that. You're assuming all this.
All I heard was one conversation, that was August 16th, and that was a highly inappropriate conversation. And so I can assume from that where this conversation wants to go.
I doubt very much.
Oh, see, you're assuming, but here's the thing. Who says that, in those who's assuming that the regulation says that we can't speak to him?
Oh, you can speak
Is
with
that,
him.
is that Labor Council that's telling
Oh,
you
no,
this?
you can speak with him, but when you bring him forward in a situation like this...
Because Labor Council has said that the Board of Selectmen has the right to, it's in that letter, to question him or do, really talk to him about any kind of allegation.
What it calls is fact-finding. And
Well, no,
fact-finding isn't...
that's not what I read, and it says, even though it does, specify that the administrator shall do it, and the Board of Selectmen really is the last place to go to, we can still do it. He said it. Your Labor Council said it. It says it right in that letter, Jeff.
You're assuming that we're gonna do this individual
And let me just say this,
If we're gonna do something wrong, we wouldn't do it in public session.
On
That's
television.
Number one. Number two, you're assuming that we are. You're assuming, but what's gonna happen here, this thing is gonna grow. It's gonna grow very large, very quickly, and the end result are not gonna be pretty.
no.
And see, because of you. You're saying this regulation here, okay, this, I read this whole thing, and I'll be honest with you. You're assuming that we're gonna treat this individual poorly. You know, and that's not the intent. The intent is to find out the facts and the information. Now, again, we asked for an executive session. It's a week in advance, so you notify all parties. You can invite them, okay? And they can all have counsel, not counsel. If the question is too difficult, it doesn't want to answer, I recline to answer that may incriminate. I don't care what he says. I don't care who it is. I just want to make sure I ask the question, because that could be basis for something else, that if you know, here's 3 members of the Board of Selectmen, we answer to the public. We don't answer to you. You answer to us, but you don't think so. See, you have no supervision over you, you think, because you're the town administrator. But you're supposed to work with us, and we're supposed to work with you. But it seems that we're not. It's like this. Everything, every event. I said, all my years in this town, I've never seen anything like this. And we seem to have drama up the kazoo. It's so much drama here, it's getting ridiculous.
Maybe I can explain it a little differently. When you set speed limits, the police enforce. So you don't get in there and interfere with their enforcement. This is very similar. You set rules and regulations associated with HR. I'm enforcing. You don't get involved in the enforcement.
But
You're enforcing it
that's not
on
true, Jeff.
selective.
You're absolutely dead wrong about
And I think
that.
we're kind of talking in circles. So I understand what you're saying, and
Listen, you've left, listen, and you've left, all I can say is, you sent out that letter to us, okay, with your opinion.
Yep.
Mr. Lombard and I asked on several occasions, we had no idea this letter was out there. I hadn't gotten it we didn't get it until what, last week? And you got it late.
I never got it.
You never got it. We're gonna give you a copy of it. And you stated in your letter, and you swore up and down that you had never seen it. And you did never, and you said it on television. You said it on live TV that you'd never seen the letter.
Let's not bring that up. Let's not go there.
Okay.
Okay, we got the executive session. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's a...
You, as the chairman of the board, invite all the parties, and you go by the council.
I don't understand why I can't say this.
No, you can't, because it's getting into that area on this whole thing.
If it's a conflict,
It's
and
just,
we're gonna hear it, Part A brings their lawyers, Part B brings their
no,
lawyers.
I have it all, this is all spelled out right
And
here.
script comes, and we should be covered.
No, I have, believe me, I'm one step ahead of you, and I'm gonna give you this in a couple of minutes, but all I wanna say is that you said that you never saw the letter, and you did, because you said that in the letter. You admitted it. You admitted that you lied to the Board of Selectmen. And that's unfortunate, Jeff, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Okay? So, we'll move forward. We'll have an executive session meeting next week.
Just let us know.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it. I'll post it.
No, but let us know if it's on or off
Oh, the executive session meeting? It's on.
by Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
What Richie's saying, if I may interpret, is that all parties are coming, because I feel the same.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna come up at 6:30 to have half an egg.
No,
It's just not gonna happen.
no, okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned. Pedro?
Thank you, Pedro.